Shalom. I'll start by giving all the praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahushai Ba'Shem, Baruch HaKodash. That one to the elder apostles of the great millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect tabernacle of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And it's amazing how, a lot of these Christians, that are, coming out of the woodworks, they're being emboldened to, come up against the Hebrew Israelite faith. And it seems like, they're all over the place, trying to attack and debunk the very doctrine that's going to save us. But the amazing part is each and every one of them that come up against us, they feel the wrath of the Spirit, all right, destroying them and obliterating them, through the Holy Spirit. The Lord said that, He would make, this people wood, and the words of their mouth fire, and would devour them. And the Lord also said through prophet Zechariah that He would make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. And anybody that burden themselves with that very stone is going to be cut in pieces. So anybody that's coming up against this knowledge, this truth, this faith of ours, you're going to get grounded up. And that's what you see constantly happening, all across Babylon, different other places in the world, where these Christians, are coming with that same tacky, tired, old, run down dogma, and they're getting destroyed through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai by way of His prophets. All right? Anybody that burden themselves with the burdensome stone, you will be cut in pieces. And though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it, it don't matter who. You don't even know what denomination these people fall up under. But they all happen to be coming against one group of people. So it is amazing. All right. Now, as far as this character right here, all right, Mr. Pastor Ron Wright, all right, smooth face and clean shaven, just straight bald head, bald face. I usually don't take dudes like that serious, man. Where the hell is your facial hair? You're supposed to be a man. We're made in the likeness and image of our Lord. He has hair. He has hair on his head and he has a beard on his face. Hence why in our law he says not to round the corners of your beard, not to shave your head. Don't make baldness upon your head, neither around the corners of your beard. So this is what Christianity does. It teaches you to be rebellious against the divine order that the Lord set on the earth. But you get to, instead of submitting yourself to the righteousness of the Most High, you do what the hell you want to do. And basically, God becomes your belly. Go become a Buddhist monk, man. Because that's more fitting for you. That's the look that you have is more fitting of a Buddhist monk. So anyway, I saw that, various brothers, they all did response videos. Brothers went live, lit this guy up because it's the new guy. You had this guy Justin Francis. All right, that guy he got dealt with, and now here's the other guy. So y'all both can get it side by side, man, by the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Anything that exalts itself against the knowledge, all right, is going to be brought to subjection. Because we do not, even though we're in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. But the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but spiritual. And we use the power of the sword of the word, because the word is more quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword. So we're gonna continue to light into you through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai. So anyway, getting into it, part that I want to focus on, which other brothers did, is where he basically tries to go into the narrative that because the Lord went to the lost sheep and you had wicked Israelites that rejected him, they teach that the Lord pretty much rejected the whole nation because the whole nation rejected him. So he went to the non-Israelites. He went to straight up heathens, Moabites, Hamites, Edomites, which are the and you already know, when he's pleading the cause for Gentiles and the other nations and so on and so forth, it's mainly about protecting the Edomite because our people they suffer from Stockholm syndrome. They just cannot get this devil out their head, man. So this is really about defending him and trying to add him to the covenant so that he can be in the kingdom ruling side by side with him. Because they can't stand this to see their oppressor, suffer vengeance and being up under them. They can't see that. That's a foreign concept that, God forbid, can happen. Our people have been brought so freaking low. They still got they neck up under that yoke, still shackled up mentally. So when you hear what this guy is actually saying, he's pretty much teaching replacement theology. If you listen carefully to what he's actually trying to say and the scriptures he's going into, he's really teaching replacement theology. It's the same thing that vocab teaches, which is another doctrine of the devil. All right, and when you look it up, let's look it up real quick. It's known as supersessionism. So let's look that up real quick. Now bear with me while this load is acting kind of slow. All right, supersessionism. This is what vocab teaches, and based on what he's teaching and the argument that he's making, he's teaching the same thing. All right, supersessionism, also called replacement theology, is a view in Christian theology on the current status of the Christian church, which asserts that the new covenant through Yahushua Mashiach has superseded or replaced the Mosaic covenant, the covenant made exclusively with the Jewish people, in which we're not Jewish. Those people over there in the land with the small hats, the synagogue of Satan, yeah, they're Jewish. No, we're the Israelites, in which our Lord sprang out of Judah, which Judah was one of the sons of Israel. And then guess what? The covenant that the Lord made with his people is finalized through the blood of Yahushua. And guess what? That same party that the Lord made the agreement with, they're still accounted for that agreement. But Christians like to X out or cross out or erase the initial people that he made the agreement with and add themselves to it. And then our people who is actually for, they want to cross themselves out and add their oppressor, their enemies to it. They want to give away which is profitable for them to others. That's them trimming their way to seek love. So that's why the Lord's going to destroy a lot of our people, man. So let's deal with this, and we're gonna definitely go precept upon precept, which is how you truly understand the scriptures. So let's get into it.
Israel. So when in Matthew chapter 15, when Jesus says that he's come to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, that's true. He came to them. He was their Messiah. But John 1:12 says he came to his own, and his own received him not. But to as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them which believe on his name, which were born, verse 13, which were born not of blood. It's not about skin. It's not about your physical lineage. It's not about what tribe you come from. Not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. It's about being born again. Anybody who is born again, can be born again, who receives Jesus Christ as their Savior, will be accepted into the kingdom. Now watch what Jesus says in Matthew.
So he goes to John 1, and this is exactly what Vocab did months ago, and we addressed it. He goes over to John 1 and verse 12, where it literally says that he came to his own, and his own received them not. And then they'll imply that based off of that passage, that basically all the Jews, all the Israelites denied Yahushua. So Yahushua said, all right, well, I'm going to Esau. This is what these dumb Christians would have you believe. Totally unlearned, man. So let's revisit that. John 1 and verse 12. So they believe that Yahushua, when he made that statement, he was teaching supersessionism. All right, John 1 and 12, it says, but as many as received him, to them gave he power to Slakia. Let me go up. John 1, and I'll start at 9. So this was actually John the Baptist, okay? Because you had John, hold on. Yep. So yeah, this was John, right? And this was his account, about the Lord. So let's read it. John 1, and I'll start at verse 6. It says, there was a man sent from the Most High, whose name was John. The same came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. He was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of that light, John the Baptist. That was the true light, which lighteth every man that cometh into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. Talking about Yahushua. All right, he was back there in the beginning. When it says, going back to Genesis 1, and the powers, the Alahayim, they created the heavens and the earth. He was a part of that. He was the chief leader of that. All right. And that's a whole nother lesson. It says he came unto his own, and his own received him not. And that's talking about how his immediate family couldn't see him as the Messiah. They looked at him as another ordinary person, because they got to see him, grow up. All right. It might be accounts not recorded in scriptures, where they saw the Lord, do things as a kid, you know, and it wouldn't seem out of the ordinary for him because he was born of two parents. So when he came of age and he started to, you know, teach, when they saw that the Spirit was upon him, they really just couldn't see it. Now let's because I mean, it really at this point, I'm just adding, I'm saying the same thing that brothers already then went into. I'll get one precept, because y'all, I'm pretty sure y'all that are watching, you already know what this mean by now. Let's get Mark the 6th chapter real quick. This is what that meant. So like it. Mark 6:1. And it says, he went out from thence and came into his own country, and his disciples follow him. And those disciples are Israelites. So he had people of his nation following him. That means that they received him. All those men that he called to come follow him, and they stopped what they was doing and they followed him, those were all Israelites. It says, hey, he even Nathaniel, you had disciples of John who stopped following John to go follow Yahushua because John had did his purpose. What he told Nathaniel, he literally called him an Israelite and said, a man in whom he found no guile. So what are these Christians talking about? It says, verse 2, it says, and when the Sabbath day was come, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many hearing him were astonished, saying, from whence have this man these things? And what wisdom is this which is given unto him, that even such mighty works are wrought by his hands? Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of James, and Joses, and Judah, and Simon, showing you that he had biological brothers, and he also had sisters as well, which means that he wasn't born of a literal virgin birth, because he has biological siblings. So they looked at the Lord as a regular, ordinary person, but they was tripping like, yo, where did this wisdom come from? How does he know all these things? You know, the miracles that he's doing, how is he doing this? When we saw him coming up, he was just a little brother of you know, James, Joses, Judah, Simon. It says, and are not his sisters here with us? And they were offended at him. So they didn't receive him. But Yahushua said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country, and among his own kin, and in his own house. And the fulfillment of that goes back to the prophecy in Isaiah 53, where it basically said that he would be despised and rejected of men. Because yeah, you had people in his own town that was rejecting him. Now, two of his brothers actually followed him. All right, James and Judas or Jude. Joses and Simon didn't follow the Lord. All right, but let's go to Isaiah 53 real quick. Yeah, Isaiah 53 in verse 1, it says, who have believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He have no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows, and acquainted with grief, and we hid as it were our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. All right. So a lot of our people were going to reject him. You know, he dealt with grief, sorrow. All right. He was despised. They was, accusing him of blasphemy. They said when he was performing miracles, he was casting out devils in the name of Beelzebub, the Lord of Flies. They didn't value him like that. The wicked Pharisees and chief priests, they was afraid about the position that the Romans held them in. They because they was threatened by the fame that Yahushua was receiving based on his works. So they took 30 shekels of silver and gave it off just to capture him and deliver him. You see? So this is what he had to go through. All right. Verse 4 says, surely he have borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of the Most High, and afflicted. You know? Hey, and it pleased the Most High to bruise him. It says, but he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. Who? The Israelites. The Lord said through Amos, the third chapter, the first verse, you only have I known of all the families of the earth, therefore will I punish you for all your iniquities. So we were in iniquity. That's why the curses came upon us. But the Lord ended up having mercy. So he sent his only begotten son to take on that iniquity. All right. He took the bruising. He took the stripes. It says the chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. Okay, that was promised to the children of Israel. Now, when you actually go further down, let's go down to we'll read verse 10, and it says, "Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him; he have put him." Slakia. It says, "He have put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin." Right, because once he was taken and was getting ready to be sacrificed, it was like he was being offered, as a sin offering. He was that unblemished lamb. That's why we call him our Passover. He became our propitiation or atonement for the whole nation of Israel. Okay, it says he shall see his seed. So there's a seed that he's going to see, right? He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. Now, what is that seed that he's going to see? Let's go to Psalms 22. Let's go to Psalms 22, and I'll start at verse 28. It says, "For the kingdom of the Lord, it's like for the kingdom is the Lord's, and he is the governor among the nations." And the Lord's kingdom is going to be the kingdom of his only begotten son. He's going to have the dominion. The Lord's going to give him that dominion pursuant to Daniel 7. All right. And also he's in the heavens getting ready to come down. Once certain prophecies are fulfilled, he's going to come down and he's going to inherit the earth. He's going to reclaim his dominion on the planet. And he's going to make his enemies his footstool. That means all these other nations are going to be subdued under his authority. It says, "All they that be fat upon earth shall eat and worship. All that go down to the dust shall bow before him, and none can keep alive his own soul." Verse 30, "A seed shall serve him. It shall be counted to the Lord for a generation." So, what is that going into? That as a seed shall serve him, and it shall be accounted to the Lord for a generation. Well, you had the wicked generation, that the adulterous generation that seeketh after a sign, that rejected the Lord. But you also had the generation of the righteous, and they were the ones that actually believed and followed the Lord, and they were the ones that came to serve him. His disciples, his apostles, all right, those that followed the apostles through the hearing of the word that was sent unto them by the Messiah. That's that seed that would actually serve them. Let's get real quick. Let's go to Galatians real quick. Galatians 3 and 26. And it says, "For you are all the children of the Most High by faith in Yahushua Mashiach. For as many of you as have been baptized unto a Mashiach have put on a Mashiach. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for you are all one in the Mashiach Yahushai. And if you be the anointeds, Hamashiachs, then are ye Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. Now let's deal with that, because these Christians, they this is their favorite part of Apostle Paul's epistle, which they have no idea, they have no clue what he's saying here. He's just talking about how in these days, which this is the church, this is the church that was being established beyond Judea. This was in Asia Minor, where you had Israelites that were living up under these different provinces, where at one point in time their households was predominantly Greek. Whether it was their mothers, their fathers, their grandparents that came up in the Greek fashion. The Lord basically broke down the middle partition between them. There's no difference between them, because we all fell short. We all needed the grace, both the circumcision and the uncircumcision. So all that was needed to establish righteousness and reconcile Israel back to the Most High was the belief through faith, having the faith of Abraham. All right, believing that this word is true. All right, despite not being there to witness what Yahushua did, because these were Israelites that were afar. They were outcasted. These are the sheep that the Lord said of there is another sheep of the fold that is not of Shalakia, that is not of this fold, them I must bring. Well, that was the Israelite foreigners. That was the children of God that was scattered abroad, scattered through all Pontus and Cappadocia, Galatia, etc., etc. You had devout Jews from every nation. All right. So these Greeks here were actually Israelites, and we had to deal with that with a funky Edomite, big pig in a blinking looking Christian this past camp. So let's go over to the next chapter, because it says, if you be the anointed, then are ye Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise, which we know the Lord never made a promise to nobody but the children of Israel. So who is the heir? Galatians 4, the next chapter over, same epistle. So it's basically a continuation. It says, now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, differeth nothing from a servant, though he be Lord of all. All right. Even though we're going to be joint heirs, we're servants. We serve the Lord. It says, but is under tutors and governors until the time appointed of the Father. Even so we, when we were children, were in bondage under the elements of the world. Right? But when the fullness of time was come, the Most High sent forth his Son, made of a woman, made under the law, right? To redeem them that were under the law. Who was under the law? The children of Israel, not everybody else. That we might receive the adoption of sons. And Apostle Paul reiterated to the Church of Rome that my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption. So this is clearly talking about Israelites. They were under the law, so they need to be redeemed from under the law. And that's why the Lord had to make a new covenant and change the priesthood. It says, because you are sons, right? The Most High have sent forth the Spirit of his Son into your hearts, crying, Abba, Father. Wherefore thou art no more a servant, but a son. And if a son, then an heir of the Most High through a Mashiach. This is talking about Israelites. So this would be that seed that would actually serve them. That would be a righteous generation to the Lord. Now let's go to Peter. Let's start at verse 9. And it says, but you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, an holy nation, a peculiar people, all pertaining to Israelites. that you should shew forth the praises of him who have called you out of darkness into this marvelous light, because he will be a light to the Gentiles, which were Israelites, which in time past were not a people, but are now the people of the Most High, which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. You see that? So that's what this is going into. All right, now going back here, going back to John 1, all right, that was those men who the Lord gave the privilege to become sons. Because it was a point in time where it was said that we were not his people. Let's get that in Hosea, because that's what Peter quoted. He quoted prophet Hosea. And guess what? Paul quoted the same chapter and verse as well from the prophet Hosea in Romans 9, and he was speaking to those Gentiles in the church of Rome. Those Gentiles were Israelites. That's why he's quoting from Hosea. Hosea 1 and 10, it says, "Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it should be said unto them, You are the sons of the living power." And the Lord granted them the power to become his sons again. Okay? And now we have access to the Spirit, because it's the Spirit that we're led by. And that's what, let's get it. Romans 8 and 14, it says, "For as many as are led by the Spirit of the Most High, they are the sons of the Most High power." All right? So there it is. Oh, verse 15, "For you have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but you have received the spirit of adoption." The adoption pertained to the Israelites, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. There it is once again. Okay? It's all saying the same thing. What he's telling the church at Rome is what he told the church of Galatia. All right? Now that we become the sons of the power again by returning back to him through the Son, having faith and believing on him, we are now heirs of the promise through Yahushai. That's all that's being simply said. So where the hell do this replacement theology come in at? You see? These Christians don't know what the hell they're talking about. And the Spirit is not dealing with them. So going back to John 1, he came unto his own, and his own received them not. And brothers already proved that you know it wasn't every Israelite that didn't receive him. You know, you had Pharisees that still believed on him. You had even a company of priests that believed on him. Okay, there was times when he actually spoke certain words, and many people start to believe on him. Let's get real quick. Let's get John 11 and 45. And this was after the miracle he did where he rose up Lazarus. John 11 and 45, it says, "Then many of the Jews which came to Mary," all right, which was the sister of Lazarus, "and had seen the things which Yahushua did, believed on him. But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Yahushua had done." And then you had the wicked ones that conspired to kill him when they were hearing these things, because they were a bunch of sellouts. They was put in position by the Romans. That was their concern. As a matter of fact, when you read further down, Caiaphas, one of the high priests, which he was actually correct. He was in the spirit at this time before adversarial spirit came upon him, and he ended up being the ones to give the Lord up. But before that happened, he was actually right. He was in the spirit right here. Verse 48, it says, "If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation." And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, you know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahushua should die for that nation, and not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together one in one the children of the Most High that were scattered abroad. All right, the dispersion, the remnants that will be left in all these different areas, they had to be gathered. All right, that's what it mean by, because he quoted one of the scriptures where it says that, you know, we're gonna that basically they're gonna come from the east and from the west, and be gathered and sit in the kingdom. You know, I'm roughly paraphrasing. That's talking about the gathering of Israelites. All right, but we'll deal with that. Let me finish this. All right, it says, but as many as received them, to him gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them which believe on his name, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but by, it's like it, but of the Most High. Yeah, meaning what? You're going to be born of the Spirit of the Most High. We all were born, we were begotten with this knowledge, this truth. Let's get James 2 and 18. It's like you're not 2, 1 and 18. And mind you, this is to the 12 tribes, right? So let's jump down. Yep. James 1 and verse 18, it says, of his own will begot he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. All right, so we were begotten, all right, by the word. Okay, now we walk in the word as his sons. We put off, you know, the old man, the old creature. We've been transformed, the renewing of our mind. We no longer conform to the image of this world, the fashion of this world. You see, that's what that's talking about. The Lord will make us become the sons of God, not by the will of flesh. All right, not by, because you know you're a descendant of Abraham. No, not by the will of man. You know, basically having his own righteousness. No, it's the word. Let's get 1 Corinthians real quick, 3, and we'll start at 3. Because we always say, like, when brothers wake up to us, we tell you it ain't of us. All right, it's the spirit, because the Lord, he determines who can come to him. Even Yahushua said, no man can come to the Father but by me, except the Father draw him. All right, and the Lord draws you by way of the word, and also with the act of the Holy Spirit. First Corinthians 3 verse 3 says, for ye are yet carnal, for whereas there is among you envying and strife and divisions, are you not carnal and walk as men? For while one saith, I am of Paul, and another, I am of Apollos, are you not carnal? You know, because you know Jake being carnal, thinking that, you know, is you know, these men are the reason why. No, it ain't these men are the reason why, you know, you've woken up. It's the spirit of the Lord active and working through these men. All right, because these men were sent to preach to you the word, and faith cometh by hearing the word. All right. It says, who then is Paul, And who is Apollos, but ministers by whom you believed, even as the Lord gave to every man. I have planted, Apollos watered, but the Most High gave the increase. So then neither is he that planteth anything, neither he that watereth, but the Most High that giveth the increase. So that's what he meant. That's what he meant when he said, nor by the will of man, but of the Most High. All right. So you can't use these scriptures. And what's ironic is he tried to say that this is what we do. He tried to say that we twist scriptures and we leave out scriptures. But that's what you're the one that's twisting the scriptures, man. And you teaching a false pseudo unsound doctrine that the Bible do
Hallelujah.
not teach.
God bless you guys.
Okay, you're teaching replacement theology. The Lord would never do away with His seed. He made a agreement with them, and guess what? To this very day, the agreement is still made with them. Hebrews 8:8 on down, which he was quoting Jeremiah 31. All right, so the Lord never cast off His people which He foreknew. Paul said that. And let's get real quick in the Psalms 94 and 14. It says, for the Lord will not cast off His people, neither will He forsake His inheritance. Because Israel is the rod of His inheritance. He will never cast off His people. Now, yeah, He did break the branch of that olive tree where a branch fell off and they became wild by nature. But the Lord was able to graft them back in. That was dealing with His people, man. Once He grafted them back in, there was no difference. There's no difference between an Israelite, that was once living lost. He used to, sacrifice to idols and, shave his beard and eat swine and do all this other stuff. But once he came back to the knowledge of the truth and avoided fornication and meat offered unto idols and blood and stuff like that, hey, he became, a new creature. He was accepted. That's talking about Israelites. Let me get this in the Apocrypha real quick. Because, they're basically going to tell you that the church is basically Israel now, not the literal physical descendants of Israel. This Second Ezra 3. Second Ezra 3 and verse 13, it says, now when they lived so wickedly before thee, thou didst choose thee a man from among them whose name was Abraham. Him thou lovest, and unto him only thou showest thy will, and made an everlasting covenant with him, promising him that thou wouldest never forsake his seed. He would never forsake his seed. He would never replace that seed. All right. And unto him thou gavest Isaac, and unto Isaac thou gavest Jacob. And that was that was who will be accounted for the seed, pursuant to Romans 9. In Isaac shall thy seed be called, right? Which trickled down to Jacob. It says, also thou gavest Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob, thou didst choose him to thee and put by Esau. He rejected Esau. And so Jacob became a great multitude. So the Lord will never do away with the seed. All right. So this guy's out of his mind. He might as well, hey, go be a Buddhist monk, man. You got the look to you. You clearly don't know what's going on. And you got pride on you too. The Lord hates pride, a proud look. So anyway, I hope this was edifying, man. I just want to go into that. 'Cause this guy right here, man, I guess he's the new flavor of the week. All right, and he jumped out like he jumped out. He stuck his neck out. So now it's your turn. All right, got to get cutting pieces, man. So that's pretty much it. You know, and I'm pretty sure y'all got a hell of a thorough understanding on this subject now. All right, how the Lord, when he went to the other, when he went to the Gentiles, he went to other Israelites. You know, the Greeks, the Gentiles, they're all is in the New Testament is synonymous. Now, there are certain times where when you do read Gentile, it is talking about an actual Gentile, but you got to have that discernment. And I'm sure he doesn't have that. All right. But any gift, anything good pertaining to the Israelites in the New Testament is pertaining to Israelites, whether they're being referred to as a Gentile, a stranger, whether it's a Roman centurion, the Syro-Phoenician woman, those were all Israelites. So anyway, I'm gonna give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shai. And to the next lesson, Shalom.